Welcome. Today we are going to be talking about a very valuable topic of how to explain a subject to wrap to your seller. How are you going to let them know, like, hey, how about you give me your house and I'm going to have zero liability, but I'm going to make a bunch of money on it, and you're going to accept the liability of the due on sale clause. What is the right way of actually explaining that out that makes sense for them and makes sense for you and is always telling the truth and always doing the right thing for everybody? So stick around. When we get back, we're going to be doing the 3 steps to explaining a sub to wrap to your seller.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashFlow.com, and Life and Air.
Teach me something.
Welcome to Grant Teach Me Something.
Did you ever see that? Oh, dang it. What is the guy? You know Pinky and the Brain, right?
Yes.
Who's the guy that the brain sounds like?
Vincent Price.
No, it's not Vincent. Anyway, he's doing this wine commercial, and he gets like subtly more drunk, and he's like, welcome to the... Anyway, that has nothing to do with it.
Anyway, that
What's
was
up,
that was me
Cameron
making fun of him and his welcome to the show.
How are you
Anyway,
guys doing
sub 2
today?
wraps, due on sale,
Yeah.
explaining all that stuff to sellers.
So this was prompted by one of my personal mentor students who's got a deal on the table right now. Last night he texted me around 8 or 9, and he's like, hey man, my seller wants to see something visually about the subject to, like, what's going on. They said they're a visual learner. Do you have something on your website or something that they can look at? And it was like, oh, you know what? No, I don't, because I typically draw it for them, right? Like while I'm sitting there, like I'll typically draw something for the visual people. And so I told him, I was like, you know what? That's actually a really good topic to think about. I'll do that tomorrow morning instead for Grant Teach Me Something, so that it gets there for him and it gets there for everybody else that might have this. And it sounds like you just had somebody asking about this too, right?
Yeah, it was on one of the comments on YouTube yesterday, because they were asking about the difference between sub 2s and wraps. Is it the same thing?
Gotcha.
And luckily, people in the community, so real plug to people in the community, thank you so much. If you see questions that you have answers to, jump on in. But somebody was like, no, they're not the same thing. So it's really cool to see people in the community answering other questions.
Yeah, it's the freaking best, man. I love the community that's been built around this, and watching everybody learn and watching everybody like chime in and help everybody out. So when we're talking about subject to wraps to our seller, you know, there's 2 different topics, right? We are going to acquire with sub 2. We're going to sell with a wrap. I don't ever want you to acquire with a wrap, and I don't ever want you to sell with the sub 2. I want you to acquire sub 2, sell with a wrap. If you do it the other way around, you will lose money. There is money being left on the table, okay? And that's a topic for another day, but it's an important topic just to, you know, it's one of those things, like we spend all of our seasons teaching a man to fish. Sometimes I'm going to say something like that, like, I'll teach you how to fish later, but for now, just don't ever buy with a wrap, you know?
Don't do it.
I said don't do it. So what we're going to talk about is, I'm going to get like really threatening with you guys from now on, like, what I say? How do I draw that out, right? So what are the 3 steps to, there's more than coffee in this cup, by the way.
Apparently.
What are the 3 steps to explaining this sub 2 wrap to your seller in a way that makes sense to somebody who's never, what's a puppy? Can I pet the puppy? Camera can't see a puppy. I just look like I'm on drugs.
You know, I already know how to do the wrap because we did this on season 1 of Grant Teach Something, where it was the wrap donut.
Right.
And it was just made up on the fly as a joke, and it didn't really stick. It sticks in my head.
No, somebody threw out wrap donut like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but it makes sense because then it's like, obviously I like food, so I correlate a wrap with a wrap donut, and donuts are delicious. This whole time you've been talking about trying to think, what kind of food or material object can I associate a sub 2 with that I can visually go, oh, that makes sense.
Like
so hopefully that's the goal. By the end of the show, I'll have something.
Sandwich.
That doesn't make sense
a sub tuna sandwich.
You are out of control today.
So we're actually, whenever we're going to be drawing and explaining to our
new sub.
Hey, we got a new sub to
oh my God.
YouTube. So when we're explaining this to it, it's one of these things where it's like, okay, whenever I'm talking with you guys here and we're having a conversation about everything, subject tos, wraps,
real estate,
due on sale clause particularly, you know, that kind of stuff. But when we're talking sub to, in this interaction between you and me, investor and investor, mano a mano, I'm going to say taking over on payments, right?
Right.
But we would never say that to a seller because taking over on payments implies that the seller no longer has liability on the loan, right? And we don't want to do anything that ever makes the seller feel like they no longer have any sort of tie to this loan, because they do. Because, like, explain just real quick to us, what is a sub to? Like, what differentiates a sub to from other things? Just in as many words. Whatever.
So a cash purchase would be, hey, here's $10 for your house. I get the house. You're done. You have no title. You have no liens. You have nothing. Your involvement with this house is completely gone.
Completely wiped away.
That's a cash purchase.
But what if I owe $80,000?
Right. But so if you owe $80,000 and I'm doing a cash purchase of $100,000, I give the title company $100,000. The title, and again, we're keeping it very basic.
Right.
$80,000 goes to the seller's mortgage or their lender, their lien holders, whatever, and they get to run away with $20,000. Right. But a sub to would be like, hey, I can't pay you 100, I can't even pay you 80. But what I could do is, you give me title to the house, I'll make payments on your behalf. The $80,000 mortgage stays in place, and maybe I give you some money to walk away, maybe I don't. But I own the property, but you are still a lien holder in the sense that if I don't make payments, you can still take the property back, so you can make that, so you can be okay.
Right. And so we're going to draw that out for them, because that can, like, if you've never heard of this topic before, that might have even been confusing to some of y'all who've heard of this topic before, right? It's a complicated topic.
Right.
And part of our job as good investors is understanding, who is it? I think it's, I always attribute everything to Einstein. It doesn't matter who it is. But I think this was Einstein's quote of, like, you don't truly understand something unless you can explain it to a sixth grader or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you have to be able to use language that is not the jargon of the industry to describe this.
That's why one of my favorite scenes in any movie is the movie Margin Call, where they bring in, like, the biggest bigwig CEO of the company, and he's like, explain it to me as if I was a small child or a golden retriever. You know, like, here this guy as a CEO of the company is telling somebody to explain something very complicated as if he was a golden retriever.
Right.
So it makes sense.
It's absolutely. So for you to fully understand something is to be able to explain it to somebody who does not, right? So we have to move away from jargon. We have to move away from language that's only going to get thrown around in here. They don't care what an ARV is. They don't care. You know, they don't understand what that means. That doesn't speak to them. You have to make things make sense to them. So similarly, this big whole wrap around that I'm talking about is, I'm not necessarily going to draw the wrap donut for them, because that makes sense to us. That shows us how we're going to make money, right? And how the money's coming in. What I need this to do is, I need this to make sense to them for their situation. One of my favorite books is called Creating a Story Brand by Simon Sinek. I really recommend you guys read it. It's more important to somebody that's, well, actually, I won't say that. It's important to anybody who's doing any kind of marketing. You need to understand who the hero is, and you're not the hero. They're the hero. We need to make sure that things make sense to them. So, all that to say, what are our 3 steps? Well, our 3 steps are, we have to listen, first and foremost. We have to solve, and we have to explain. That is the 3 steps to explaining a subject to wrap to a seller. Because here's the thing. We're going to have certain scripted items that basically are said every single time I'm in front of a seller. I'm probably going to say the same exact spiel about due on sale, probably going to say the same exact spiel about, you know, we've got these little sound bites, and I think you've got these little sound bites too. I've heard you on the phone too before, like explaining one of the things that I liked how you explained a discount offer, a cash discount offer to your seller was like, look, you know, yes, we have to come in. If we're going to buy with all cash, we're happy to do that. We'll get it done quickly. You won't have to mess with anything. It's going to be super easy on your side. The discount there represents what we have to make in the transaction. But it's kind of like, you know, you can go to Walmart and get a gallon of milk for 99 cents.
Or go to 7-Eleven.
Or you can go to 7-Eleven,
pay $1.99.
Pay $1.99, be in and out, and have 0 lines, right?
Mm.
We're kind of the 7-Eleven here. We are your convenient factor.
And to give credit where credit due, I think I got that from Tim Harris.
Did you?
I think so.
There you go. All right.
If not, he gets credit anyway.
So we've got to think, again, that's something that applies to them. They understand going to 7-Eleven and paying a little bit more. And
For the
convenience factor, right? For knowing that it's a done deal, we're going to get it done.
Now I have to park at the end of the parking lot, long line.
Right. And so when we start talking about this kind of stuff here, my first step is listen, because we are going to have our sound bites. We are going to have things that we commonly go back to, but you have to apply your pitch to the hero. And who's the hero? They are. You have to customize that pitch to something that they are going to understand. This is one of the big reasons why you hear me when we talk about negotiating. I do not like, I think it is an outdated and a bad, I don't like using the word bad, I only like using variants of how good it is. But I don't like the pitch of, here's 3 offers and you choose the one that works for you.
Right.
I hear people throw that out a lot of times. I think that that's one of those things that somebody...
I know Daniel uses that.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then maybe I can't talk too much crap about it then.
You can.
Daniel's a great negotiator.
But again, I don't think it's talking crap. It's your opinion on a negotiation topic.
And to that point, I want to be very clear that when we talk about negotiating stuff is going to work for me that doesn't work for Ryan. Stuff is going to work for Ryan that doesn't work for me, right?
Right.
It's a lot of how you come off to somebody. So I give people a foundation to stand on that is a proven workable foundation. But you may find that you work things differently. My old partner, Ronnie, we built a lot of these negotiations together, and man, he was good. He could freaking just stare somebody in the eyes and sit on their couch as they're like getting up and like dragging him to the door, and he's just like, nah, man, I'm not moving until we get a signed contract. And they loved him, but I can't pull that off, right? So understand that. But what I'm getting at here is that when you give that 3 offer, you lose your chance to customize the offer. You lose your chance to sound like you're listening to their
needs, their wants, their problems.
Well, and what's the, not dispute, but like when you say something, rebuttal, right? Like you lose the chance for them to say, no, I won't do this because, and then for you to say, well, here's my second offer because, right? That's why I think that I'm so successful in the negotiation table, is that I'm going to listen and listen and listen and listen. They are going to just have verbal diarrhea on you for a while and just give you information. You listen until you have that moment where you've got enough information that you feel like you understand their why and that you can push towards a closing, and then you set your compass to close and you don't stop till you get there, right? It's your job to close the deal. If you've got enough information for that, you push towards that, right? They will talk at you for hours. If you listen and then you present an offer that you feel is best for them, and you're like, hey man, I will buy your house. This fits your situation because of X, Y, and Z. And then that's the offer that you ultimately want most. That's the offer you feel is going to work best for them. And then they come back and they say, man, I can't do that. And you say, well, why? Why can't you do that? Well, they're going to force themselves to give you a reason, at least, right? Usually it's one. Sometimes they'll give you a lot. But if they give you a reason, they're like, look, I can't sell my house for that cheap. Well, now you have the ability to say, okay, well, here's the thing. So what you're telling me is that the reason you're not moving forward is because the number right here on this piece of the contract isn't high enough. And they say yes. And then you get to say, well, here's the deal. I can raise that number. We can get you your offer, which is too much, which is more than anybody should offer you. But the way that it's going to work is that I'll give you $115,000 as long as you accept your equity in installments. And this is how that will go, right? And so you're solving their problem with a solution rather than having said, hey, I can offer you cash of 75 or I can give you terms for 115.
Because that, when you do it like that, it's impersonal. They may not, you don't really give yourself an opportunity to explain exactly what you're doing.
Right.
It's this, or this.
Right.
Versus this. That doesn't work. Okay, well, what about this? Mm-hmm. And let me show you why.
And a confused mind says no. And we live in a customized world. We live in a world where our Facebook feed is fed directly to stuff that we care about. Our YouTube feed is fed directly about stuff that we care about, right? Everything is customized to us. So if you just go in there and you're like, hey, you can go to Walmart or 7-Eleven, or there's Walgreens, which is kind of in the middle of that. Which one do you want?
Right.
a confused mind says no.
And I'm glad you point that out because we have a sexy new graphic that Travion built for us. So Tommy, can you throw that sub graphic down if it's ready? There it is. So
Boom.
Please subscribe because again, as Grant just said, we live in a customized world and it shows you what you want to see. So if you find value in this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell. That gives you notifications that we go live and have new content.
Yeah,
and drop a comment, say hi.
Please,
some love.
Please do drop comments and please drop
Thank
questions. Please let us know topics that you're particularly curious about. We want this to be customized to you too. Our job is to help you buy more houses. That's what we're here to do. So, so we want to listen to them and we want to hear their pain points. One of the things that we've talked about in past episodes, and we've been doing this. I mean, I think we're on like our 75th episode or something like that now, right?
I've done a couple.
We're coming up on 100. I can't wait for episode 100. That's gonna be cool.
I'll look it up.
But somewhere in the past, we've talked about marketing avatars, and I will probably reapproach that marketing avatar here very shortly, maybe even as soon as next week. But one of the things that I want you to do when you're creating that avatar, when you're creating the person that you're going to talk to, my tip for you there is get a sheet of paper, turn it on its side, put it in 3 columns, and the first column is going to be fears. The second column is going to be, the first column is going to be situation. The second column is going to be fears. The third column is going to be solutions. And so what you're looking for is every single little bit about this person's situation that you can possibly fill out. Are they, married, divorced, in a rocky relationship with their boyfriend? Are they working a 9-to-5 or a night shift or a blah, 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 blah? You know, going down as many things in their situation as possible. Are they behind on their credit cards? Do they have medical bills that are payable? And then in column 2, you're going to start talking about what are their fears? What are they afraid of? What are pain points for them? Are they afraid of, like, for instance, when I have bought houses that are of the upper price point, those guys are afraid that their neighbors are going to find out because they have relationships in there and they don't want their neighbor. They're embarrassed, right? That they're losing their house, right? So you write down all their fears, and then in the third column you're going to write down as many statements as you can that in as few of words as possible solve as many of the first 2 columns as possible. I bring that up to say, when we're listening to our seller, we need to hear the things that they need to hear to be okay with a subject to wrap. Mm-hmm. We need to understand, are they afraid of you not doing what you said you were going to do? Are they afraid of what happens after you've bought the house, right? Like, are they afraid of going to get another loan, and how is this going to work for them?
You know, I'm glad we're doing this episode, as with all of our episodes. But and this is interesting how all this stuff builds upon each other. Mm-hmm. Because I'm thinking back to the head, heart, gut, and I'm thinking about what we're about to get to here shortly, is you like to draw it out. Mm-hmm. And what I would suggest and put this out there for anyone, yourself or anyone to build upon is, well, if you already know what that avatar is, if you've already kind of figured out who this person is you're about to have a negotiating kitchen table sit down with, maybe you do have a printed out version for somebody who's a little bit more analytical.
Sure.
Maybe you do have a printed out version that's mainly words versus pictures. And then for somebody who's a little bit more off the cuff, maybe that's the person you draw it out with. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to throw out there, is that something that's been that you've thought of, or is that a good idea, or is that way overthinking?
That's a really good question. I have taken the stance to this point that I am kind of against that. But I'm not saying it's wrong. Right? Like, I'm not saying that it's not necessarily something that could work. I am much more, so like, again, this goes back to like how my pitch is going to work differently than your pitch is. I am much, much better received in, I can come off as I'm coming up with an idea for the first time, even though it's the 800th time that we've done this, right? And so being able to really make the seller feel heard, and that we are able to respond to their questions in a way that's concise and makes sense through kind of off-the-cuff doing it, in my mind, has gotten better results than if I'm like, oh yeah, here's a pamphlet about it. Because pamphlets to me are leave-behinds. Right. They imply, hey, I'm going to leave this with you. I'm not going to get a contract today. I'm going to come back later once you've thought about it. And I don't want that implication. I want the implication of, we're here right now. The only piece of paper I have in front of me is the contract, because that's what we're here to do. if you need more explanation, I'm happy to draw some pictures out for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of where it comes from. But some people may do really successfully with that stuff.
Well, that's why I said I led with just
sure.
And that's the beauty of these shows is a lot of times it's just instant brainstorming that it could be a good idea or it could not be a bad, or I don't know.
Sure, right. Brainstorming sessions.
Hard.
So we've talked about listening, right? We want to really hear what they're talking about. Here's some common pain points before we go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to solve those pain points. And then on the last segment, we are going to actually draw these things out for you to show exactly how I draw these things, which is very simple, right? But that's the point. It needs to be explainable to a sixth grader, right? That's the whole point. You may say that and be like, that picture. Here's one of the things that's like a small annoyance of mine is sometimes people will get in and they'll be like, well, I watched everything and all this stuff is easy. And it's like, it's not easy. It seems easy because we're good at teaching it, but it's not easy, right? So that's one of the things that we're going to get here. I'm going to show you my picture. It's pretty simple, but it explains it to them in a way that makes sense. So listening, right? Pain points I've already mentioned are going to be, what happens if you don't do what you said you're going to do? What about me going to get another mortgage? Those are going to be two of the most important pain points that people are going to face. The due on sale clause is going to be a pain point that we need to listen for. These are going to be the most important three when talking about, and what are you going to do with the property once you have it? These items are the most important items for listening to specifically explaining the subject to and the wrap portion of it. Now, there's all kinds of other stuff that we need to think about for explaining on negotiating in general, but that's something for the negotiation series, right? What we're talking about is specific to sub 2. These are the big items, and then on the other side of the break, we will solve those items. So stick around with us, and we'll see you on the other side.
Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
You want to buy more houses? Here's Dar and his wife after only 2 weeks of being my mentor student. And here's Brady after paying attention to all our online videos and attending all the live Q&As. You want to buy more houses? 3 steps. Sign up at CreativeCashFlow.com/memberships. Watch all the videos, attend the live Q&As, and then send me a photo with you and your sweet, sweet new contracts. CreativeCashFlow.com, helping you buy more houses for one low price of only
And welcome back. So, before we jump in, we're going to collectively say, No!
Brian Johns, no.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, Brian.
The question was on YouTube, and the only reason we're going to address this because it's such a no is should you contact the seller's mortgage or lending institution to say, hey, this is how a sub 2 works?
And have them try to explain it to your seller.
No.
That's not going to happen.
Don't do that.
We want to do, so there's bounds of, okay, so here's the thing. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about due on sale. Due on sale is one of the things one of the big 4, right? Perfect leeway. Due on sale clause exists. It's in every mortgage. Enough of every mortgage that I'm comfortable saying it's in every mortgage. We want to do everything that we can to avoid forcing the lender's hand. Okay? Now, I feel like I can say this. I hope that I can say this. Actually, here, I'm going to edit it in this way. I have talked to some very powerful people, and by that I mean people who make the decisions for all of the banks and all of the laws and all of the everything, both nationally and stateside. Okay? And so without naming names or positions, they know that this is going on. And they're like, and even as we're negotiating all of this stuff for the laws that were coming through, they're like, look, we get that this is happening. The banks know that this is happening. It's just we've got to have this clause in there that in case they needed that safety blanket, they can. But they are, I think they called it de facto approving the transaction by not calling it, right? It's like they're not dumb. They understand what's going on. But we can't force their hand. You know what I mean? We can't. I saw a funny video on Reddit couple days ago where it looked like it was out. Have you ever floated the river down in the Guadalupe?
Long time ago.
I love floating the river. We're actually going next month. I think actually Simon just went. Anyway, doesn't matter. So there was a cop that like pulled out somebody's liquor bottle, and I guess the cop's job is to pour the liquor out like when they get this or something, because it was apparently against the rules. But the video was of the cop on their little dinghy, because they've got these dinghies that they, and he he starts pouring it out behind his back so that the dude bros could hold their cups up, and like one of them was like had his mouth under it like and the other one's like holding his cup up, and the cop is doing his job. He's pouring out but he's very clearly like, if it's behind my back and I don't know it, then I should find that video and put it up for this. Actually I'm going to do that.
Brian, at the end of the day, banks like money.
They like their money. They want to get paid.
They want
money.
And
so we don't want to force their hand. We don't want, even though they understand what's going on, we want to do as much as we can to veil the situation in a way that's not lying, to make sure that we can go forward with this, right? So, that being said, with the due on sale clause, we do need to properly explain that. And Brian said he heard somebody did that before. That is not somebody you should be learning from. I'll throw that out there. So we need to explain the due on sale clause and its repercussions to both our seller and our buyer. Now, we're not talking about buyers as much today. We're talking about our sellers. So my little spiel is basically, look, the due on sale clause is in every mortgage. And what it says is that if you sell the house, the bank has the option, not the obligation, but the option, to ask for the remainder of that loan to be paid off at any point in time thereafter. Okay? Now, what does the bank really want?
Money.
They want their money. They want their payments. If they wanted real estate, they'd be called Caldwell Banker. They wouldn't be called Bank of America. Historically speaking, I've seen about 10, 15,000 of these things go through over a period of 30 years using my partner's experience on that, and fewer than 10 have ever been called. Because in the real world, the banks want their money, and historically speaking, as long as those payments are being made, everybody is happy. But we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we want to be ultra aware that everybody understands that this is an option for the banks to call that loan. And if that's called, it's an all-hands-on-deck moment. You need to contact us and be ready to work with us. We're going to work with our attorneys. We're going to work with our buyers. We're going to do everything that we can to solve that situation. In those 8 or 9 cases where the due on sale has been called, none of them have led to foreclosure.
And on that, one thing I'd like to stress is, depending on, again, the head, heart, gut of your seller, determines on how much detail you go into that. Because a lot of this conversation could be nipped in the bud by saying, look, I'm a real estate investor. The only way I make money, the only way I feed my family is by purchasing this house. If at any time it gets foreclosed on by non-payment, or the lender takes it back, or there's a due on sale, or there's any situation where I have an inability to not make money, I'm not going to let that happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to move heaven and earth to make sure that this situation is taken care of. Mm-hmm.
And I'll append that by saying the hardest part of this business is finding the property, finding the asset. Once I have an asset under my control, it makes zero sense for me to let that thing leave my control, because then I stop making money.
Right.
And if you've done what I've told you to do, which is start your pitch early on by telling them, I'm here to make money, not by saying, oh, I just like helping people, but by saying, I'm in this business because it makes money and it puts food on my table, then this kind of pitch later on makes sense to them, because you're like, look, I'm here to make money. I'm going to do everything that I can to keep making money on this property. But I will say, to the point of like, that pitch kind of depends. If the due on sale clause is being brought up because we're doing a subject to, I'm giving that spiel. I don't really care who it is, because I want to make sure that all the information is on the table for everybody. And one of the things that I didn't say here, that I usually say in the first paragraph there, when I'm explaining what the due on sale clause is, and I say that the bank has the option but not the option to right after that section, I say, what we are doing absolutely triggers the due on sale clause. And then I go into but we've seen 10 or 15,000. Right. But I am ultra clear. What we are doing absolutely triggers the due on sale. We are not violating the due on sale clause. It doesn't say don't sell your property or else. And actually, I saw Daniel Duran. He's my personal mentor student. I saw him. He was tuned in on here. We were actually looking up title on some properties yesterday, And in the deed of trust, I pointed that out. Look, I was like, look, here's the due on sale clause right here. And it said the bank has the option, or the bank may, at the bank's option, ask for the remainder to be due. It's their option. They know that it's there, right? So explaining that. We've got to do, when I explain situations that are hard to somebody, it's kind of the compliment sandwich. You talk about the good, the bad, the good, right? And so that's kind of how you saw my due on sale clause spiel is, hey, it's in every mortgage, so don't worry about it. It's really scary. These are the things that can actually happen. But in the real world, we don't see that happen, right? You've got to lead them down that emotional so that they feel in tune with you, right? So let's start talking about the other parts of it. We've got to worry about what happens if you don't perform. Okay. Now, one of the common points that you need to listen for in that concern is, why are they concerned? Are they concerned that you don't perform? They don't have power to do something? Is that their base of fear? Mm-hmm. Powerlessness? Or is their base of fear the financial impact? Right? So we need to hear what it is that they're telling us their fears are, more so than just the words, diving even deeper in to see what that foundation of fear is. Okay? Fear Foundation. That sounds like a metal band. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to them about how the sub-2 wrap is formed. Here's a little soapbox of mine. I can't stand wholesalers that don't tell their seller what they're doing. I can't stand when I'm looking at a house and I get a call from the wholesaler right before I show up, and they say, "Hey, say that you're from the insurance company. Say that you're a contractor and you're trying to get some numbers on it." I'm not a contractor. I'm not from the insurance company. I'm a buyer, and you didn't have the money to buy it, and you want me to buy it, and that's what's going on here. And there's no shame in saying that to your seller. That's the last time I'm going to work with you as a wholesaler. We don't lie. That's one of our core values. So when we're talking to our seller, similarly, we've got to figure out what's going on from their standpoint, and we're going to tell them what we're going to do. I straight up tell them, hey, I think that once I fix this house up, I'm going to be able to sell it for the low 150s. That is as shady, as vague as I will get, is I will say low, mid, or high in a $10,000 range. If I think it's going to sell for 150, I might say, or 155. I'm going to list at 155. I'm going to say, I might even say that. I'm going to list at 155, expecting to get an offer in at 150 that I would accept, right? Or we're going to list for the low 150s. I say exactly what we're going to list for. And then I tell them the way that I make money is the fact that your mortgage is at 4.5%, and I'm going to be able to charge a higher interest rate to somebody on the back end, okay? What that means is I'm going to buy your house, subject to, I'm going to become the owner of the property, we're going to leave that loan in place, and I'm going to continue making those payments on your behalf. The reason I'm willing to pay so much more than I should pay for this house is
wrap donut.
The wrap donut. And I always phrase it like that. I'm always
say wrap donut?
No, I'm always telling them, I'm paying too much for your house. I'm paying more than anybody should pay, right? I'm giving you too much because I'm going to turn around and I'm going to sell it to somebody who wouldn't have been able to get a loan from a bank otherwise. And they're going to pay me more than I'm having to pay your bank, and that's where I'm going to make my money. I'm going to hope to make about $150 a month on this transaction because that's my minimum. My minimum is $150 a door, right? And it makes sense to them. This because is so important because guess what? All the other investors that are knocking on their door are lying through their teeth about crap, and they can sense it. You know, when you're pitching to them and you're like, yeah, I'm going to contract for you. I just need to have 20 of my contractors come tell me a price on it. They may not know why that's shady, but they can sense that that's shady, right? And so when they've got somebody who's finally confident enough to be like, hey, I'm going to make money on your house, and that's why I'm here, and this is why it's beneficial to you, and this is why it's beneficial to me, they're like, oh, thank God, I don't have to guess anymore. This guy's actually being upfront about that he's going to make money on it, and they want to work with you. I love Daniel Moore's quote, rapport buys more houses than money ever has. They want to work with people who are willing to tell them the truth. So that leads into what my drawing is going to look like on the other side of the next break, because now that we've explained to them how we're making money and why that money exists for us, we're going to show them visually what that looks like. And here's where a couple of little negotiation points come in. If their fear is a fear of performance on your end because of the financial implications.
I'm just glad you didn't look at me.
Fear of performance.
Never mind. We'll talk about that during the break.
Because of the financial implications of like what happens if foreclosures are occurring, that's where Ryan has an amazing pitch. That is exactly what Ryan just told them. And what's the summary of your pitch that you just gave about the asset being most important?
Oh, I don't know. It's just like if I'm going to spend all this time to meet with you, if I'm going to spend money on your property, because I may have to put in a $5,000 foundation job to be able to sell it. I may have to put in $20,000 of work. Why would I ever put $20,000 into your house just to lose the property?
Right. It's a great pitch for the person who is financially afraid of what you're going to do and why. And you're agreeing to pay my mortgage, but what if you don't? And oh my gosh. Well, if I don't, I lose the house and I lose the ability to make money, and that's stupid. I don't spend 70 hours a week learning how to not make money on houses, right? So that's your pitch there. But what if their fear is based off of powerlessness? Well, that's where we bring up that lien position.
You can always foreclose and get your house back.
You can always foreclose on me. If I don't do what I said I'm going to do, and that's the way I like to put it, if I don't do what I said I'm going to do, you have the right to foreclose on me and get the house back. And guess what? That means, let's take that hypothetical situation. This is a killer, by the way. If you guys are taking notes on negotiating, this phrase right here I'm about to give you it's a stone cold killer.
You want me to say it, or are you going to say it?
No, you do it. I was going to try and say it.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make business sense.
Well, doesn't make business sense is how like.
Then I don't know.
If they want us to do something that we don't want to do, I'm sorry, that just doesn't make business sense. Right. That is a stone cold killer. This stone cold killer. I feel like I need a beer so I can like. Stone cold Steve Austin. Is
Trey, you need a timestamp of 38 minutes, 17 seconds. There's an image that's gonna be great.
If their powerlessness is the thing, you like how I've led into this for 7 minutes. It's kind of like how my prices have been going to change.
Oh my God!
8 months.
What's the point? What's the point you're trying to get to the last 10 minutes? What's the stone cold negotiating tip right here?
So let me talk about this movie I saw. So the stone cold negotiating tip is if they feel powerless, we're going to say you are always at the top of the totem pole.
Got it.
I love saying that. You are always at the top of the totem pole. And let's take that hypothetical situation. Here's the real thing. If I come in and buy your house, and I never use if. I said if because I slightly forgot what I was going to say. When I come in and buy your house, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put in however much our rehab budget is. I'm going to put in $30,000 to fix this house up, okay? And then I'm going to go find somebody to live in it who's going to be a home owner, not a renter, a home owner, who more often than not, they come in and they fix things up because the demographic of buyers that I typically have are pretty handy, and I've gone into houses a month after I sold it to them, and they've already like installed new wood floors and all kinds of. So they come in here. Let's say 5 years from now, I did stop paying. And I didn't do what I said I was going to do because all of my buyers were at AT&T Stadium and a comet hits it and it kills everybody and I don't have any money anymore. Let's say that were to happen. Well, I've paid your house down for 5 years. I put $30,000 into it. I caught your payments up today, saving you from a foreclosure. I spent 5 years rebuilding your credit by making payments on time. Ideally, and I don't have a crystal ball, but more than likely, the value of your house has gone up because that's just how real estate works. More than likely, your property will be worth more. So here we are 5 years from now, and let me be really clear. This has never happened. I've never had a buyer or a seller have to foreclose on me. I want to be ultra clear on that. But if it were to happen, I put 30 grand into your house. I caught your payments up. We paid your payments down for 5 years, and your property values went up. So now you've got a ton more equity. And if I don't do what I said I'm going to do, you get to foreclose and take the house back from me. That's now fixed up. You owe less on it, and it's worth way more. Here's the stone cold closer line. So if your worst case scenario is better than the situation you're sitting in right now, why would you not move forward with this? Boom. Boom, that's a phrase that's good. And they're like, oh, that makes sense because it's true. It's true. Their worst case scenario is better than the situation that they're in right now. So I like using, you're always going to be at the top of the totem pole. When we're talking about foreclosure, it's always if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. There's a lot of like sub-psychological implications as to why I like using that phrase. But if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, you get to take the house back from me. That's really big too. So we've got two different ways to approach the fear of non-performance. We've got the spiel on the due on sale clause, right? And next, when we come back from break, we're going to start talking about what is the drawing. We're going to draw for you how I illustrate this out for those sellers who are more visual, who can't just accept the verbal explanation of it. And this has been a pitch that we've worked a long time to get a simple picture that makes sense for them. So stick around. I can't wait to show this for you when we get back.
Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
You want to buy more houses. Here's Dar and his wife after only 2 weeks of being my mentor student. And here's Brady after paying attention to all our online videos and attending all the live Q&As. You want to buy more houses? 3 steps. Sign up at CreativeCashFlow.com/memberships, watch all the videos, attend the live Q&As, and then send me a photo with you and your sweet, sweet new contracts. CreativeCashFlow.com, helping you buy more houses for one low price of only
What's up, all y'all?
Awkward again? Where's the excitement?
All right, so we love you. Thank you for joining us. Guys, please keep in mind, straight up, none of this happens without Propelio doing what they've done. They've sunk a lot of resources into making sure that you guys get good education here. If you guys feel like you're getting good education in today's video, would you drop a comment right now and say, I'm learning, or this is bomb, or whatever, fire emojis, or whatever you want to put. Let us know. Encourage that. That helps the algorithms, just straight up, here's my because. That helps the algorithms understand that we have good value for you. The fact that y'all are watching. But more important than any of that is go check out Propelio, dude. Propelio is awesome. I literally had MLS access that I let lapse because the Propelio system for finding comps is just so superior to the MLS. And the mobile ability to do it from mobile, like MLS just freaking sucks on that. And so Propelio gives you comps. I just switched my websites over to Propelio. I was using Investor Carrot before, but I'm like, why am I spending $120 a month with Carrot and the $90 or whatever it is for Propelio? Well, Propelio does this for me. So I just switched my websites over so they do your websites as well. And lead lists, good lead lists that I actually physically hit Daniel for giving away because these were our leads that the real players knew and the other people weren't getting. He's given away to you guys as a member of Propelio. So guys, check that out and spread the word. Let other people know about it. Go to Propelio.com. If you like this education, check out Propelio.com/academy. We've got straight up studio filmed modules on different situations and ways that you might be able to do things that are super valuable for you. So please give them a shout out. Subscribe. You won't be sorry. It's good stuff.
And if you're looking for personal mentorship, check out CreativeCashFlow.com. Our man Grant here can service you, and just know that his prices are going up soon. I saved you. I saved you from it.
So can I tell y'all something real quick? I'm going to expose something to you. All right, so
Do you really want
to? It became a meme because my prices were going to go up, and that was going to happen for forever, and it never happened, right? And so I kept saying my prices are going up, and so then I was like, okay, I hired new staff, I had people in place to do this, and I was one of my new staff members this was his project, and he was telling me we are 2 days away from flipping the switch on the prices, and I'm like, sweet. And I reached out to so I've been for this last 2 weeks, hey, we're gonna flip the price or the switch on the prices, which I'm still trying to get done by Friday, but you'll hear. So then my tech guy's in the hospital for a little while, and we're like pumping the brakes because health and family above everything else, right? Like everything can wait other than health and family. You've got to take care of that. So I asked my project manager about this, and he's like, yeah, we're still 2 days away, but I'm going to have to check with Patrick. He's working on it. And something gave me a clue that wasn't quite right. And I went and looked through his emails, looked through. I contact my tech guy about this. And you know what his response was?
Who's that?
Who's that? Who's this guy that you're talking about? My new hire project manager. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, he had never talked to him. So that's where the joke comes.
So, interesting factoid, mypricesargoingupsoon.com is available.
But we are shooting for a price raise on Friday. I'm still shooting for that. So just so you guys know, right now, $650 for a lifetime membership to our Q&As and all the online
June
content.
26th, 2019.
And if you're watching this episode, you can use hashtag GTMS, all uppercase, get 20% off. Makes it $520, super cheap. Friday, you'll be switching over to $12.97 for a 1-year access to the Q&As, and then you get lifetime access to the videos on there. So if you're thinking about getting in, get in now because now's the time.
And I think Daniel Duran, he said he wants to pay you more money now.
Daniel Duran is...
That's what I'm saying. He says you're not charging enough, therefore he wants to pay more money. Is that not what that says?
I think that is. Yeah. Thanks, Daniel. No, Daniel's awesome. I like Daniel a lot. He's my most recent mentor student. And if you're interested in mentoring, reach out to me because we can talk about that level too. But
let's get in some pictures.
Yeah, let's get into some pictures here. So this is what we're going to do. When we are talking to somebody who needs a visual representation of what is going on in this situation, we're going to draw stick figures and we're going to mark things through and we're going to have a piece of paper where we can scribble all over it, all right? So here's how I explain to them. I'm going to say, look, here's the thing. Is you have a house, okay? And you are going to sell me this house. And again, we're using definitives. We're not saying if, we're saying you are. We're saying when we close, not if we close, stuff like that. You're going to sell me this house. This is me. And I typically like to draw myself physically below their head. This is a very small, minor psychological thing. But even in negotiations, like, we've all been in those situations where the living room is really dirty and, you know, maybe they're trying to clean some stuff off of the couch and stuff, and maybe there's one seat. I'm like, no, please leave that there. You take a seat, and then I take a knee, so I'm looking up at them. I try to, like, when I'm writing on stuff, even if we're in someplace else, I will take a knee, so I'm looking up at them so that they feel physically above me. We want them to have the power. This is one of the things where we talk about you are at the top of the totem pole. We want them to always psychologically feel, no matter how subtle it is, that they're in a position of power. So my drawing puts me beneath them. So you're going to sell the house to me. Now, you have, I'm going to use one color since we're typically with a pen. You have a loan to the bank, right? And I'm just going to continue making that loan payment on your behalf, okay? Now, you have given me the ownership of the property, which is done through a document called the warranty deed, and that's what gives me the ownership of the property. So I will own the property. I'm going to continue making that payment on your behalf, and you are still going to have the mortgage with the bank technically in your name, as we've talked about, because by the time you're explaining this, you should have already gone through the sub-2 pitches and laid the groundwork and all that kind of stuff. We've got other videos on that. Go through the Grant Teach Me Something playlist to learn about sub-2 and how we're explaining that. Now, what I'm going to do is once I own the house, I am going to go find somebody to buy it from me, okay? I'm going to go look for a family, and this is where I'm going to call on some psychology, and I'm always selling to a family. I'm going to look for a family who needs a house who can't get a mortgage otherwise, and I'm going to sell it to them. They're going to make their payments to me, and I'm going to make the payments to the bank every month. Now, you may be worried about, like, what happens if this payment doesn't happen? So here is the psychological part where I am going to divert their fears, not to their fear of me not performing, but I'm going to divert it to my buyer not performing. So I'm going to say, so you may wonder, what happens if these people stop paying, right? Well, if they don't pay, I'm going to foreclose on them. I have the ability to keep making these payments, and I'm just going to find another family who needs this situation and sell it to them. But what happens on this end of the transaction doesn't matter. I'm only telling you that because I want to be super upfront and super clear about everything that's going on. The only thing that matters to you is that I'm right here in the middle. And I am the one that's telling you that I am going to make those payments to your bank, and I am the owner, because you and I are the ones that are talking. So let me show you a way that other people do things, okay? A way that other people do things is, here you are, and there's a lot of people in town who will come in, and then I'm going to put them actually above, again, a psychological thing, right? They're going to come in, and they're going to say that they're going to buy this house from you. So they're going to go under contract with you, and then they're going to go find a family that needs to buy a house just like me. But the difference is they are not going to stick in the middle of this. What they're going to do is they're going to do something called an assignment of contract. And they're going to assign their position to where, like right now, you're going to have a contract between you and them, right? But they're going to, when they find this buyer, they're going to take themselves out of the situation. They're going to move this contract, and instead of it being between you and them, it's going to be between you and the buyers. What this does is this removes their liability from the situation and allows them, through fancy paperwork, to still collect payments and still make money, even though it's really you and those end buyers in this situation. Now, here's the thing. I don't expect you to get into real estate. I'm the one that works 70 hours a week to figure out how this stuff works. I don't expect you to have to deal with what if these buyers stop paying and you have to foreclose. That shouldn't be your deal. My goal is that when you sell this property to me, by contracting today, again, definitives, today language, by contracting today, you get to wipe your hands of any of your concerns of what's going on in the future, because I'm the one that's sitting in the middle of this. And so you're going to sell the house to me, and it's always me that's responsible to you. And I'm going to give you something called, and I know that this gets really complicated here, but as we're explaining this out, it works for them. I'm going to give you something that's called a deed of trust to secure performance, and that's what you're going to use to foreclose on me. If I don't do what I said I'm going to do, you're at the top of the totem pole, and you get to take this house back from me. And then, just like I talked about before, your worst case scenario, you're still sitting prettier than you are right now.
I'd like to throw in 3 things.
Yes.
And then you could say they're good, they're bad, or irrelevant, whatever. When you're talking about the family, I would suggest using the words a new family.
Okay.
Like, because again, this is just whatever, is I think people feel a little bit better if they're helping out a new family on their first home.
Right.
Versus somebody just with, because everybody has families, everybody has houses.
If they're a heart person, absolutely.
Right.
That
So
would be
just
a
using the
great
word
heart
new,
pitch. Yeah.
a new family, a new home, that could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second point, and this is where it's just me thinking out loud, over here on the far left, could you even say, put in the words where, and all of this, you get the credit for it. Like credit being,
right. It's building their credit.
It's building their credit, but they're also getting that verbal, that not actual credit like monetary, but like the acknowledgement.
Right.
So they're getting the acknowledgement of making this. And on the one over, here, what I'd like to throw in and ask, because I genuinely don't know, if you're not getting payments, on the 31st or the 1st or the 2nd, hey, I didn't get my check.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not in the situation monitoring it, and they're making payments on the bank, and they're not monitoring it, it may be 2, 3, 4 months behind before they're even aware that they're behind on their mortgage.
Yeah, that might be another way that you could kind of, so one of the ways that I get conversions in this hyper competitive market is I knock the knees out of all my competitors as we're talking, right? Like that's one of the things that I'm doing here is like, here's what everybody else is going to try to do. It sounds the same, but they're actually kind of screwing you over, whereas I'm sitting in the middle. I'm always in the middle. I'm always the one that's responsible to you. This is why rapport matters so much, is that they understand that it's always me responsible to you, me and you. This is all that matters. What's happening on the back doesn't matter because I deal with that.
Right.
Right? Crap, tell me what you were just saying. I sidetracked
I was saying
myself.
on this one, if you're not there to monitor the payments,
right.
it may be 3 months, 4 months, and they may never even know that they're behind until
Right.
it's too late. And like, oh, by the way, we're going to foreclose on next week.
So if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume, I'll put it this way. Until you have 40 or 50 deals under your belt, don't try to service notes yourself. Use a third-party loan servicer,
Right.
okay? Now, you can bring that situation up in explaining this to them, and I'm even going to use a third party to collect those payments and make sure that your bank is getting paid every month, so that way you know that I'm not just taking this family's money and not paying your bank, right? We're going to use a third party, bonded and registered with a state company that has no interest in my financial gain. They will collect those payments from this family and make sure that your bank gets paid before I see a dime of it. And then if you wanted to knock the knees out of these other guys, you could say, and that's typically not something that these guys are going to do, right? And so it may be 2 or 3 or 4 months before you even realize that payments haven't been getting made. And that's killed your credit again, right? So we're doing everything that we can to stay above board and make sure that everything is happening to make sure that you are being taken care of. Because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you are being taken care of. I'm going to make my money in this, but I'm making it through solving the problem that you have and solving the problem that my end buyer's family has.
So we have a couple of minutes left. Do you want to draw a quick wrap donut and why it's a wrap donut?
So
or I'm taking full credit on that
You do
one.
get full credit for the wrap donut.
Clearly, it's not taken off like it should, but it should. It should be a wrap donut.
So here's the thing, is the way that I'll represent wraps to investors a lot of times, and I'll say, look, you might have a loan for $80,000 at 4.5%. Actually, yeah, I'll make that look more like a 4. And, it's got 22 years left on it, which means that it's got a, $571.66 a month payment. What a wrap is that we are going to have that as our debt, but then we are going to sell the house for $100,000 at 9.5% for 30 years with a $802.11 a month payment. So we've got a larger principal, a longer term, and higher payments every month. That's how a wrap works. The money coming in here is being used to pay the money that's due here.
And it looks like a donut,
And
and
it
it
looks
looks
like a donut.
delicious.
I want that donut. It's a money donut.
It's a money donut. It's a wrap donut that's delicious and all whatever. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
No, so that's where the wrap donut thing comes from. But as you can tell, this wouldn't really speak to a seller. A seller doesn't care how you're going to make money. You heard how my pitch was all about putting them in the power position, and that it's all about what matters to you. I'm going to tell you real briefly how I'm going to make money over here, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that you and I are agreeing to something, and I'm agreeing to pay your payment on a monthly basis, right? We're always bringing it back to understanding their fears and our pitch going towards their fears, and that's how I'm drawing that out. And I've had really good success with that.
I have a theoretical question, and you could look at me sternly like this is stupid. But just to be creative, say you've got a hot property, and everybody in town wants this deal, and everybody in town is giving all these creative situations. Could you offer a wrap within a wrap to the seller, to where it's like, look, we could structure this to where not only am I making payments on your behalf, but you're making $50 a month.
Yes, but
through like the interest, whatever.
We're not going to offer them a wrap. We're going to offer them a second lien.
Got it.
Okay, so that's where it goes back to, I don't want you to buy with a wrap. I don't want you to sell with a sub 2.
Got it.
We can effectively do that for them, but
it would just
the
be
long
like
story
an equal
short,
payment type thing.
Yeah, the long story short is if we give them a wrap, they're making money on the bank money, and I want to make money on the bank money. I don't want them to make money on the bank money, right? So I'm going to give them a second lien that's very specified, which also allows me to get a discount on that lien. So like, let's say that I say, look, I'll give you $10,000 paid out over 5 years at 4% interest. So you're going to get $90 a month or whatever that is.
Right.
Well, in 2 years, I could go to them and say, hey, you've still got $8,000 left on your money that's owed to you. If I gave you $4,500 right now, would we call it a day?
Right.
And so it's making money after the deal, right? So it's the deal after the deal. That kind of stuff is again one of the reasons why. And guys, this is advanced stuff. This is the pro tricks. This is how we make money that other people don't, because from the surface level, it looks the same. If I were to give them a wrap, let's say they owed 80, if I gave them a $90,000 wrap, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I would be paying them interest on, like if I gave them a wrap at 4.5 and their bank was at 3.5, they'd be making interest on somebody else's money. I don't want to do that. I want to make the interest on somebody else's money. So these are the little things. These are the little things that make you more money in the long run, that if you do this on every deal and you do 50, 60, 70 deals a month, that adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, even though it might only be $20 or $30 a deal.
So we're coming in. I do want to address 2 quick questions. I know Jonathan on YouTube, do you think the real estate market is turning now? How I'll answer that is everybody has an opinion. For every person that says it's going up, there's somebody saying it's going down. And the beauty about being creative and strategies and having all these tools in your toolbox is you shouldn't care. Mm-hmm. Period. You shouldn't care where the market's going if you have all these strategies and you are being creative.
Right. That's one of my big kicks about the creative strategy, is that by having all these tools in your tool belt, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't say, like, I'm going to rephrase what you said, which is the essence of what you're saying. It's not that we don't care where the market is, it's that it doesn't matter where the market is, right? Because we have a way to make money in the good market and the bad market, right? That's what it is. So it's an amazing and incredible thing. So yeah, we do feel like there's some indicators that, everybody knows the market will turn at some point in time. I get tired of the conversation of people caring if the market is turning, because it's just like, make your offers. Make your offers that make sense, and it'll all work out. If you have the right tools, you'll be able to make offers that make sense in a high and a low market. But I will say, this is the strategy that makes people wealthy in the down market. This is the strategy. Subject twos, wraps, creative financing, this is it. And we know that. I mean, so Eddie, Speed, and myself, we've gotten pretty close over this past 6 or 7 months, and man, we're seeing people come over, and he's got some pretty high-end folks, dudes that are closing 200-300 deals a year in the wholesale and retail market, that are coming over to him and now working with the two of us on, dude, we need to figure out how to do this creative financing stuff, because this cash market is not going to last like it has. And they're starting to see what guys like me and Eddie are making money on and saying, whoa, hold on, that's where the real money is. Can you show me how to do that, right? So keep that in mind. These dudes that are literally closing 200-300 deals a year are coming in and saying, this is the strategy we want to know for the market that's coming up.
And I super appreciate Mitchell Benson for using and carrying the torch of Wrap Donut. Somebody was asking earlier, I think it was Eddie, what, and this will segue into the end of pitching, what does one get with CreativeCashFlow.com?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for the currently $650 program that's about to be $1297, my prices are going up soon.com.
Or if you use the code GTMS,
20% off. So what you get is a weekly live Q&A, and in my humble opinion, it's awesome. We answer all of the questions that you have live, kind of like what we did here, where I'm drawing stuff out for you. I've got a cool green screen where I can like weatherman mode it and point to things and show you calculations. Whatever interesting problems you're having, whatever non-interesting problems you're having in real estate, I'll answer them. You also get a collection of every video that I'm recording. Wherever that goes, it's going to be on there. And you've got exclusive video content like a negotiations masterclass that has some killer negotiation tips inside of it for that membership. Right now, that's lifetime. It's moving to a 1-year membership. Can I talk about the mentor price
That's
changes?
what I was going to ask. Did you want to soft pitch the thing you're working on now?
So I'm shifting away from the personal one-on-one mentoring program because I found that there's going to be some better benefits for you guys. Oh, and the other thing about being an Academy member is you get into our exclusive Facebook group where everybody can help sharpen each other up. So what we're really trying to push now is the community aspect, helping iron sharpen iron, helping you guys help each other, right? So what we're going to be doing is for $12,997, because gurus have to use 7s in their numbers, I've been told by my marketing people. It's not $13,000, it's $12,997. We're going to be doing 4 quarterly masterminds, and the first day will be me teaching you all day about business scaling and creative strategies that are like the real advanced stuff, the stuff that we can't get into on an hour-long episode of GTMS, really diving into that. The scaling, how to make a business rather than a support system. That's one of the issues that I have run into finding out that I did for myself I know all of the big name dudes that I know eventually come to that realization where they say, wow, I created a support system. I didn't create a portfolio, and I didn't create a business. I created something that helped me work a lot, right? So we talk about how to scale and create a business that buys houses for you. And then we do hot seat items for the rest of the, which is awesome, where it's like you get up, you give something that's working for you, and then you say something that you need help with. And the rest of the room, myself included, helps you work through your issues. That will also have like a personalized to launch whenever you sign up. I will do a personalized one-on-one session with you of asking you a ton of questions about your business, where you want to go, that kind of stuff, and giving you a roadmap to your retirement so that you can kind of have a plan of, hey, I need to buy this many houses this quarter, whatever that might be. That group of people gets into another even more exclusive Facebook group that is only of that level of subscribers so that you guys can talk a little bit more high-end detail on that. And then every week we will do, on Thursday, we will do a live deal analysis workshop. For those of you, I mean, anybody who's watched me, you know I don't do deal analysis on GTMS, and I don't do deal analysis during the Monday night Q&A because it takes a long time, it's really involved, and, you know, but for that $12,995, $997, whatever member, we will analyze your deals weekly, and if nobody has a deal to chop up, I'll show you how we chopped up deals of mine. We'll put those up in front of you, and you get a membership for lifetime to the Q&A and all the video content. Then for $49.97, you get one mastermind. You get to attend one of the mastermind events. You get to attend the deal analysis workshops, but I won't chop up your deals. You'll be watching as everybody. But guys, this is where the learning goes, because this is how you find out what the real world looks like, what real numbers are actually coming in with, how much people are actually behind on payments, all that kind of stuff. So you get to sit in on that webinar, that Zoom call every week and watch all these deals get chopped up. And then you get the one-year access to the Q&A and the lifetime access to the online videos. So that's what we're moving to on them. Those are our three different levels. $12.95 for the online only, $49.97 for the mid-range, which gets you into the deal analysis workshop and one of the Q&A, or one of the masterminds, and then the high-end mastermind level, which gives you a quarterly mastermind for a year and all of that other cool stuff. If you're interested in any of that, please reach out. That's what we're doing. I'll be really clear. I give away hundreds of hours of free content here, and I want to be honest. I'm looking for you to JV with me or for you to sign up through one of these other things. This takes a lot of time out of my day to plan it, to come in here and film it, to drive the hour that it takes to come out here. And it is. I do want to help you, but it's also a business model. I would hope that you guys would at least entertain the idea of joining in if you are getting something from these things.
I just want $1. Somebody send me $1.
What's your PayPal?
RyanSHarper@gmail.com.
PayPal RyanSHarper@gmail.com $1.
RyanSHarper@gmail.com. $1.
All right, guys.
$1.
Well, I hope that you got some value out of this today. You guys are all awesome. I love having you guys here. If you're watching or if you're listening on the replay, like the podcast or something, click on the description, click on the link, go drop a comment. Ryan watches those comments and he lets me know, like, because I can't get alerts for the comments that are new typically unless it's a reply that you specifically tag Creative Cash Flow on. But he'll let me know, and I'll go in there and I'll reply, and he's replying and that kind of stuff. We want to help you guys get to that next level. And you want to talk about Propelio before we get out?
Propelio.com if you need the leads. You know, it's interesting enough because we say it every single day, every single show. Leads, comps, websites. A lot of people aren't aware of the leads that when you sign up for Propelio.com, you get access to leads, which is huge. The ability to pull accurate ARVs. As an investor, you need to be able to have leads. You need to be able to determine what a house is worth, and you need a marketing channel, and we provide all three of those things. So please go to Propelio.com, do a 7-day free trial. We're about to release national data. We're about to release national comps. We're about to release Drive for Dollars app. So in some ways, it's very similar to we're about to raise our prices. But as far as I know, we're not raising our prices anytime soon. But if you haven't tried Propelio.com out, just go check it out. Propelio.com and sign up. Give us a try. Take a look. Take a gander and be like, hey, this is good, or hey, this sucks, or hey, Ryan said to sign up, but that's all I wanted to do. I don't know. Check it out and give us a sub. We had 2 people sub. We started the show at we had 68. Now we're at 71.
We had 2 subs.
3.
Like sub 2.
And Tommy, please end this for me.
We'll see you guys next week.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashFlow.com, and Life and Air.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up to the Propelio event. We had a great time. It's huge, as always. We love everybody that came. If this is your first event, jump on Facebook, jump on YouTube. Let us hear it. Let us know what your thoughts are. We love feedback. Anytime we could do something better, we want to do that. If this is your second event, your third event, your 10th event, let us hear that too. We're trying to create a community here where everybody comes together. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you at the next one.